Medium Rare Ends Meet Book 2 is exactly what it says it is. It carries on. It's a continuation of Ends Meet, following the survivors. I can't tell you who lives or dies, it's pointless, you won't buy the first book if I do that, so I'm not going to name any names, but it kind of picks up 8 or 9 months immediately after that fact, and follows the plight of those who survived. What you know, it's a bigger book, it's a bigger novel, geographically and thematically it opens things up. It's a lot darker. So yeah, these are the first two parts in a saga, I suppose. So yeah. Well, if the first book was about disease and a mystery thriller, kind of horror thriller, then the second book is as you can see, it's definitely a revenge. It takes its cue from like 70s revenge cinema, I suppose, and that's something I'm really interested in. Vengeance. Those who know me know I'm hugely influenced by the Italian westerns, and a lot of those films were about vengeance, about the search for revenge, and when revenge becomes an obsession for people, and I suppose vengeance is disease as much as having this thing inside you is a disease in the first book. Then revenge is, and the notion of what revenge does to a mind, poisons the mind, poisons blood, that it's just as valid as a disease, and this one definitely takes a look at that. It's a revenge saga, through and through. As I said, it's a lot darker. Again, it's fiction, but I wanted to deal with real world things, so everything that those who survived, everything that they went through in the first book is part of them now. It's changed them for better or for worse, mostly for worse. That some of the characters are absolutely traumatized, what's happened, some can't move on with their lives, some are living with survivor's guilt, for those gone, and they survived the events at the end of Ends Meet. So it takes a look at that. Also, it's kind of more political as well. It takes, again, I can't say much without giving away, but this one looks at life inside the Canis complex, and almost like this pseudo-fascist regime, and all these disparate cultures coming together, kind of caged house together, and so it's probably more complicated. It's definitely more complicated than the first book, but then again, it's a lot more gory. It's a lot bloodier. It's all those traditional aspects of horror is taken up a notch or two. I kind of ratchet that up. It's a lot more disturbing. So yeah. Tonally, I hope that there's no difference between the two books in terms of tone. I still want them to exist as one entity. They are one big story, so the dark humour's still there. But if I suppose the humour was pitch black in part one, then it's several shades darker in this. I'm still trying to get appropriate moments of inappropriate humour in there. Otherwise, I'm dealing with some quite downbeat themes in this, in terms of depression and struggle, day-to-day struggle, and there's a lot of dark stuff in there, and you need to, you have to have moments of levity, as in life again. So, tonally, it's a lot darker than the first book. It's a lot more, the characters. I wanted to take a real world book. Again, it's horror fiction, so it sounds a bit silly saying, I wanted a realist slant on it, but these are people struggling with their lives now. Those who survived the events in the first book are really struggling to pick up the pieces of their lives. Some have got, some are deeply depressed. some to the point of suicidal tendencies. Some are struggling with survivor's guilt. Why me? Why did I survive? Why didn't I get, why wasn't I taken? And again, the real world stuff. Again, these are middle-aged characters, and they're struggling to realise they're halfway there, and their lives aren't any clearer, or making any sense. So that one of the things I wanted to do was kind of break your heart. Why can't you break someone's heart with an adult horror novel? Again, like I said with the first book, I want it to hurt. So I'm trying to. Here are these characters. I want you to get to know them, and I want you to fall in love with them and care about them. And then systematically, I'm gonna do some really nasty things to them and kill them off. And I want you to feel that. I want that to hurt. I want you to get pissed off with me as an author and get mad and say, why did you do that? So there's a lot of darkness in here, but again, at the end of the day, it's still escapist fare. It's still it's still a blood and thunder horror novel. So hopefully it's gonna get your adrenaline going as well. There's still a lot more to come. I'm gonna be starting work on the third book soon, and medium rare book 2, kind of like the first one. I wanted it to end with a what the fuck moment where you go, shit, but what happens? So this image is gonna, you should fear that image. This image is gonna come into play. That's not a good insignia for mankind, so to speak. So this symbol is gonna come into play quite a lot. Yeah, it's only gonna get worse. It's gonna get bloodier and funnier and more exciting, I hope. And yeah, we're not finished yet, not by a long shot. So yeah, stay tuned.